Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. What the hell is really going on here? I think that over the next few years, we're going to see the narrative shift between Trump and Putin. And yes, I have predicted Trump as the president, brought in through vote fraud. Okay? I talked about already before the recent attacks on Trump supporters, the likelihood of massive civil unrest after Trump is selected and placed in power. Of course, all this before World War III, but amping up more of the civil unrest. Now, both of these men are Messiah-like figures. No shit. And this is by design. You know, I've talked about Putin for years, and he is seen by some as a counterbalance to what the West has done. You know, a lot of people don't want to look at certain things that might challenge their belief systems. How about that meeting recently between Netanyahu and Putin? How about the announcement about the Russians to build the oil fields for Israel? You know, all this is moving forward. See, that doesn't fit the narrative of Vladimir Putin being against the New World Order. He's a part of it. He's always been a part of it. If the man wanted to expose 9/11, he could expose 9/11. There's veiled statements. There's innuendo. Nothing concrete. They never exposed 9/11. So RT for years has been doing what I called out RT for doing in 2012. Propagandizing in America. You know, capitalizing on the large number of people that are exiting the mainstream media's influence. And now that we are seeing things shift, and this is the summer of 2016, a period in time that for a long time I believe would be the period where it's clear we're going to World War III. Some people may be in denial about this. Some people may be sleepwalking through this. Some people may not realize that it's staged. They may really believe that it's a battle for control over the New World Order. Ideas purported by Joel Skousen and others. Love Joel's work. It's unfortunate he doesn't see the larger hand behind this. It's unfortunate that he thinks Trump will bring some goodness to America. If anything, we can thank Alex Jones for showing us that he went turncoat and really works for the other side. Heaven forbid people continue to listen to his influence and be led down this very dark road. And the dark road, Paul Joseph Watson, the author, the puppet author of Alex Jones at Infowars.com, Paul Joseph Watson, PropagandaMatrix.com, all of a sudden foaming at the mouth about Muslims, you know, for years exposing false flag terror, false flag events, even creating conspiracies where there are no conspiracies. We'll talk about that in a future podcast with Kyle Reardon. He's been noting the number of fake news reports that Paul Joseph Watson has written over the years. And now they're directing people in this false Islamic invasion scenario. It's just taking people away from the real Chinese-Russian threat. If Trump's placed in power and he starts targeting Middle Eastern immigrants because they stage managed events, if the worst case scenario happens where people are put into a camp or a facility because they're flagged for some reason in this post 9/11 world with all this surveillance and all these computers and this birth of AI, don't act like it ain't gonna happen. Here we live in a world where, you know, the Matrix is seen as fiction, or the Terminator is seen as fiction, and the idea of drones murdering human beings seems like a futuristic reality. No, it's the current reality in the Middle East today. And where are people talking about that? People say things, well, no wonder why they hate us. How assumptuous on top of it. To add insult to injury, literally to add insult to injury. No wonder why you or they hate us. Who's hating? I certainly could speak for myself and say that I'm concerned for the safety of Americans in the future with that which they have allowed to be done in their name. Thus, so far, bad mojo. And out of love and compassion, I personally want people to know how dangerous of a road this is. They're playing with their own souls. Those people that will even blog on Facebook about sniping Syrian refugees. And they have these protests. Brandon Curtis with the Three Percenters. He was in Burns, but before Burns, Oregon. Before the Burns, Oregon psyops. There he is. We got to get rid of the Syrian immigrants. Well, where are all these Syrian immigrants? I know there's reports. I know there's lots of fake news out there that's also got people worked up. But literally, who's got all this? And I know Europe is having its problems. But as far as the United States, the main threats that people are facing are the same threats they've been facing. And it's stuff going on in their own community. And oftentimes from their own racial group. Be they black, be they white, be they Hispanic. Really doesn't matter, does it? No, it doesn't matter. In many cases, they are their own greatest threat. There is no utopia of any race anywhere on the earth in this day and age, in this time. There is this racism out there that people are attaching themselves to and getting involved in these radical groups, but that's all the illusions of separation. There is something far more evil that is steering the world towards this clash of civilizations. Trump seems to be placed there by some hand of evil to work the world up. Has he done that? And notice how there were a bunch of attacks on Trump supporters all at once. And how people can see that in the media and want to emulate that and also get pumped up on the other side. Ready for combat. Ready for what word, phrase that you see often when you're watching football, if you do watch football, or if you've seen the football game, when you've been up at the bar or walked through a bar, Civil War, Civil War, Civil War. Will it be college football, the NFL, or other college sports? Civil War, Civil War, Civil War. The flashy graphics rotating on the screen. Trump, the Trump presidency. Hell, the Trump campaign. You haven't even got to the Trump presidency. It is, to me, what I see as staged, managed civil unrest to lead us to the next step and destabilize the American image. That's the ultimate threat that Donald Trump poses. A man that said maybe we need to shoot down those Russian jets. And yet for some reason Putin likes him. And yet for some reason we're hearing that the Chinese elite like Trump. Trump said a whole lot of talking points about China to speak to the American worker that's lost everything. Is he really exposing China's buy-up of America for sale? And I fear one day, American for sale? A future white slavery epidemic in a future occupied America? I want people to know if these things come to pass, if America ends up occupied. They got to remember, of course, all the people that warned them all these years. And how long we've been discussing this. This is not a new issue. We've been on the path of destabilization by design of the United States for some time now, and it's fairly documented. But I want people to remember how many people kept their mouths shut as millions were slaughtered. Whether you want to hear this or not, this day and age you live in is marked by the genocide and murder of millions of innocent people. Think about all these parades here in America. Go USA, go Army, kill, kill, kill. Trump, kick the Muslims out. Build the wall, let's move in these extreme directions. White genocide, it's the death of the white race. We have to march on, we have to do something. Oh, the religious aspect of Trump. Oh, the only man that says what we want to hear. What kind of a reason is that to like a guy? So obviously they've set this guy up to play this Obama 2.0. It's the rights equivalent of the Obama co-op that's happening on the other side. Question is, when people realize that Trump isn't with them, or when they're faced with information indicating who he really serves, who he really is, will they change their tune? Did the Obama supporters change their tune? when faced with information about Obama's handlers, Obama's financial supporters? No. For the most part, they did not. There's an ego issue there. People don't want to be wrong. Everybody's got to be right. Well, that's what concerns me about some people in the alternative media and how long this deception, this Trump deception, is going to go on. I mean, there he is, sitting there, actually switching over to the Putin deception, because it's almost as if they're like one and the same alien being. And I say that as a joke, but maybe seriously. I mean, are these people even human? We have all this blind Putin worship, and there Putin is sitting next to Netanyahu. And there's some deal regarding oil, a major deal taking place between Israel and Russia. There was also another piece of information that I came across in an article referencing the amount of Russian websites that are out there that are actually behind some of the fake conspiracy news websites, even some white supremacist websites, and other things that relate to pro-Trump material. So in this world of Russian hackers, Russian intelligence, and other things, far too many Americans have underestimated the potential that the Russian government is not made up of angels, but in fact has intelligence divisions and others actively engaged in promoting disinformation in the United States. Why? Because it's leading to the direction that they want. The pro-Trump material, the pro-Putin material, embedded in with fake conspiracy trash and everything else there that's just there to demonize the current president and demonize America and Americans as a whole. And it's caused a lot of psychological problems for a whole lot of people. Now, instead of the people being united against the government or the president, it's the people against the people on a couple different levels. So I close here with an echo of a forecast that I began making months ago. I see Trump being selected and put there to take us into the next stage of World War III, in which America is not destined to win, but fall by design, in which a whole new era of white slavery begins. And I'll be back with other thoughts on other issues.